Consistency is not born out of convenience. It is carved from discipline, from the invisible choices you make in the quiet of your own mind. Every result in your life is the shadow cast by a thought you have allowed to take root and every action that followed it. If your life feels scattered, it is because your thoughts and actions have been scattered. The law is simple. What you repeatedly imagine and then support with repeated action becomes flesh, becomes facts, becomes your world. There is no great secret hidden in the halls of the wise. The truth is plain, but the mind resists it because it requires faith and repetition. To see transformations, you must not flirt with an idea, you must dwell in it. You must live as though it were already real. That is consistency. To speak one day of health and the next day claim sickness is to uproot the seed before it grows. To dream of abundance while dwelling in thoughts of lack is to water weeds instead of fruits. The universe is impartial. It gives you only what you persistently hold to. To force yourself to be consistent is not punishment. It is liberation. For it means you take command of the wandering mind and say, this is the image, this is the truth, and I will not release it. Discipline is freedom in disguise. Those who let their minds drift with the winds of doubt and distraction are enslaved by circumstance. But the one who anchors himself in a chosen vision and returns to it day after day with unwavering faith bends circumstance itself. Many speak of change, few endure the daily practice of it. It is easy to get inspired for a moment, but inspiration fades unless you tie it to a ritual. When you choose a vision of yourself, and every morning you rehearse it in imagination, every day you align your actions to it, you make yourself a vessel for transformation. Consistency is the chisel that shapes the stone. One strike does nothing. 10 strikes may seem to make no dent, but 1,000 deliberate strikes awaken the hidden figure within. You must guard your inner conversations, for they reveal your true consistencies. If by night you declare victory, but by day you whisper defeat, you sabotage your own creation. The voice you repeat most becomes the master of your destiny. It is not enough to affirm once, to act once, to believe once. The world bends not to occasional effort, but to relentless persistence. Hold the picture. Act the part. Live as though the unseen were already visible. Then, and only then, will the visible yield to the unseen. Do not wait for motivation to appear. Motivation is fleeting. Consistency is stronger. It is the quiet power that does not ask how you feel today. It simply does what must be done. That is why the command is to force yourself, not to entertain yourself. Force implies authority over your own being. You give the order, and the body obeys. You hold the image, and the mind conforms. With repetition, what once felt forced becomes natural, and what was unnatural becomes effortless. Life rewards the consistent. The tree bears fruit not because it sprouted once, but because it endured through seasons, because it stood through storms, because it remained rooted in its nature. Be as the tree. Do not abandon your vision because of delay, nor forsake your practice because of temporary dryness. Every act of faith, every repetition, every choice to align with your vision is a drop of water to the root. One day the fruit appears, and the world calls it sudden, but you will know it was consistency all along. The mind is a workshop where destiny is formed, but it is not enough to step into that workshop once in a while and expect masterpieces to emerge. The great structures of life are not built on impulse. They are built on repetition, deliberate and faithful. To force yourself to be consistent is to recognize that a single act, though small, when repeated with unwavering determination, becomes a force no power can resist. You may look at the stonecutter and see nothing, but a man striking the same place again and again. Yet when the stone finally splits, it is not that final blow that made the difference. It was every blow before it, compounded, invisible in its effect until the day the stone surrendered. So it is with the human soul. You may repeat a vision of yourself day after day and see no change. You may affirm your strength while your body feels weak, affirm abundance while your pockets are empty, affirm peace while your world is in turmoil. But the invisible blows are striking. The unseen repetitions are working. Each consistent act, each consistent thought, each consistent choice is building momentum, carving out the new shape of your life. If you abandon the practice, you abandon the unseen progress, and the stone remains unbroken. But if you persist, if you force yourself to be consistent, the day comes when the stone cracks and the world calls it a miracle. not knowing it was only consistency. Every man and woman who has achieved greatness has known the hidden labor of consistency. They did not wait for feelings to align. They acted in spite of feelings. Feelings are fleeting clouds, drifting and unstable. One day you feel powerful, the next you feel broken. One day you feel motivated, the next you feel weary. If you tether your actions to feelings, your life will sway like a boat in restless waters. But if you tether your actions to a chosen vision, you become anchored. You return again and again, no matter the weather of your emotions, no matter the doubts that whisper. That is the discipline that makes transformation inevitable. The mind is a creature of habits, and it will fight to return to its old patterns. It will whisper, rest today, act tomorrow. It will argue, this small break does not matter. It will seduce. Why struggle when you can be comfortable? But comfort is a liar and delay is a thief. The only answer to that whisper is force. Not force against others, but force against your weaker self. The self that prefers laziness, that seeks the easy path, that chooses distraction over devotions. Every time you force yourself to choose discipline over comfort, you strengthen the muscle of consistency, and that muscle is the true foundation of freedom. Freedom is not in doing whatever you want, whenever you want. That is slavery to impulse. True freedom is mastery of self, the ability to command your mind, to direct your actions, to hold your vision steady no matter the winds of circumstance. And mastery is impossible without consistency. The painter does not master his art by painting once a month. The musician does not command sound by touching the instrument once a year. The thinker does not shape new realities by visiting the workshop of imagination only in moments of inspirations. Mastery belongs to the one who returns day after day, regardless of mood, regardless of visible results, until the habit is no longer forced but natural, until discipline is no longer a burden but a joy. Consistency transforms desire into embodiment. A desire held loosely fades like smoke, but when that desire is clothed with daily attentions, when it is rehearsed in thought and reinforced in action, it ceases to be a distant dream and becomes a living identity. You do not merely wish for success, you embody success. You do not merely hope for health, you embody health. You do not merely long for peace, you embody peace. It is the steady rehearsal of the image that weaves it into the fabric of your being. The law of life does not yield to occasional effort. It yields to sustained effort, repeated until it becomes law within you. Consider the farmer. He does not plant a seed one day and then uproot it the next, checking if it has grown. He plants, waters, waits, and continues the process without complaints. He understands that consistency is the language of nature. The harvest is not the reward of impatience but of endurance. So too is the harvest of your mind. To force yourself to be consistent is to plant and water your vision without ceasing, trusting that the soil of life will bring forth in due season. The unseen is more powerful than the seen. What you hold in your imagination is the blueprint of what will unfold in your world. But imagination without consistency is a sketch never completed. To hold the vision one day and abandon it, the next is to tear the page before the picture is drawn. The secret is not in the brilliance of a single thought, but in the repetition of a chosen thought until it sinks into the subconscious and becomes automatic. What you impress upon the deeper layers of mind through consistency must express itself, for it is law. This is why forcing yourself is necessary. Left alone, the mind wanders. Left unchecked, it drifts to doubt, fear, and distraction. To force yourself to be consistent is to take hold of the reins, to direct the wandering horse of thought onto the path of your choosing. In time, the horse no longer resists, for it has learned the way. What once required force becomes ease. What once required discipline becomes delight. But you cannot skip the season of force. You cannot skip the discipline of return. It is the bridge to transformation. And so every morning is a test. When you awaken, the question is not whether you feel like rising to your visions. The question is whether you will force yourself to do it anyway. When the temptation to delay whispers, the question is not whether the delay is justified. The question is whether you will remain consistent in spite of it. Every choice compounds. Every repetition builds. The great lie is that small lapses do not matter, but the truth is that each lapse weakens the chain of consistency. Yet each act of discipline, no matter how small, strengthens it. Imagine a sculptor facing a great block of marble. If he strikes once and walks away, nothing is revealed. If he strikes sporadically, the form remains hidden. But if he returns every day, chiseling, refining, shaping, then over time the masterpiece emerges, inevitable and undeniable. So it is with your life. Force yourself to return. Force yourself to strike the blows. Force yourself to remain faithful to the vision. The masterpiece within you is revealed not in a single act, but in the faithful consistency of many acts. Life is mercilessly fair. It gives you not what you wish, but what you consistently choose. It does not bend to your scattered desires, but to your disciplined repetitions. If you complain that life does not give you what you want, examine your consistency. What have you rehearsed in thought? What have you repeated in action? What patterns have you maintained? For those patterns are the true prayer you send into the universe, and the universe answers with precision. Therefore, let no excuse take root in you. Let no delay disguise itself as wisdom. Let no distraction appear more urgent than your vision. To force yourself to be consistent is to say, I choose who I am, and I will not betray that choice. Day after day, step after step, thought after thought, you carve your destiny. And when at last the world sees the fruit of your labor, when they marvel at your success, your strength, your peace, you will know it was not one moment, but the countless unseen moments of consistency, each one a thread woven into the tapestry of your life. And so, when the noise of excuses has quieted, when the storms of doubt have passed, the truth remains unmoved. Life bends to the one who refuses to bend in his discipline. Do not wait for the perfect moments, for perfection is born out of the repetitions you dare to keep. Do not wait for inspiration is the child of consistency. Force yourself to rise, force yourself to repeat, force yourself to stay true to the vision you have chosen, and you will find that what once seemed impossible yields itself to you. The world does not belong to the talented alone, nor to the lucky. It belongs to the consistent. If you dare to be faithful every day, if you dare to hold steady when others quit, if you dare to live aligned with the image of the life you desire, then nothing can deny you. Your destiny is not written by chance. It is written by what you do over and over again. Be relentless, be unwavering, be consistent, and the life you imagine will be the life you live.